Welcome guys, Jay is here, living my newly modded original Xbox. I finally managed to get around doing so. So I got a backlog of titles to get around to, especially the exclusives that are only available on this console. But my pretty dated original controller has had better days. Wouldn't it be great to use the more recent updated controllers that got released for later consoles like the Xbox One and Series S to use on the original Xbox, or even other more recent alternative controllers, to make a retro gaming experience more relatable? Well, here steps in Brooks. Brooks is home to a plethora of adapters for retro gaming consoles to unlock potential unlimited controller connectivity. In this video, we'll be reviewing the more recent Wingman Converter XB2. It has always fascinated me getting consoles doing things extra that they weren't supposed to, especially when you can get wireless controllers working on a console that never had this feature officially. I have to say a big thanks first to Brooks for sending me this out for review purposes to show for you guys. The box design is much like the rest of the adapters that they have released. The main difference, what I can tell from the original Wingman XB, is there is an additional extra 20 controllers that are compatible any more recent software update. So now let's have a quick look at what you get with your purchase. A simple guide pamphlet to acquaint yourself with, and those very shiny looking promo stickers that you get with every Brooks product. The adapter itself is very well made, a very trusty build quality by Brooks as always, a solid plastic build with a clear plastic on the side for LED indication, the USB connection on the top, and then a USB connection input at the bottom. The size of this is just about right, though a smaller profile would be better, but could be possibly worse, as then it'd be too small to function with. Each one does have an issue number, so any problems you can then forward this info to Brooks. Now, one item that's not included when you want to use this adapter for original Xbox is the USB adapter, as you would need to purchase this separately, as the console never had a USB port like the PS2, which is in the same generation. They aren't that pricey anyway. A lengthy one could be handy, as then if you ended up using a wired connection, for instance if your battery has died on your wireless controller. Now, before we go ahead and set this up, a very useful thing to do first is to update this to the most recent stable firmware to get the best out of this product. To do so, head to the official page. Of course, the link is in the description box below. Scroll down until you find the support section and check out the firmware. This could be better laid out, to be honest, but for instance, for the primary firmware update, you'll find it under Wingman XB2, and I'm using Windows, so I just click on the green PC icon. Once downloaded, this is an unzip file, so grab those content and put that somewhere that you know. I just put this on the desktop, and the folder you are after at the moment is just the Brooks Wingman. There's no installation needed for this program. I am using Windows 11, but this will pop up on Windows 10 as well. Just to give you a safety measure, just click on the more info and run program anyway. Now with this booted up, now grab the adapter and pinch both sides, where you are then holding down both of the side buttons whilst you are connecting it to your computer. This will take a short minute to recognize the adapter, and then simply click on the start button when it's all ready. This will take then another couple of minutes to download the content and install this, but not too long. We have the LED now flashing vigorously, and now we are good. Just close the program and remove the dongle. Back to now setting this up and testing out its capability. Pretty simple, just plugging into the USB slot, and we have those blue lights, meaning we've got power, which is all good. In this video, I won't be testing out every controller I got, that would take quite a while, but just the main controllers I think you guys might be interested in jumping into and using with this adapter. And then I'll come out with a verdict on which one I personally found the best to use, and state any issues I have on the way. So first up is the 360 pad. Bear in mind, for this to work you will need another additional adapter, a very common 360 wireless USB adapter that can also be used for the PC. A official one or a non-official one will work just as well, so no worries there. This is my personal favorite controller as they are just pretty cheap to get your hands on. and does the job pretty awesome, but this USB cabling does add more mess, but pairing this up is a very smooth transition. And the connection I found very solid. After playing this hour, I had no cutouts at all. I do like how now the white and black button from the official controller have been transferred over to the L1 being white and the R1 being black. Before I did have the OG X360 adapter all set up and the wireless receiver connected to the USB port, which then meant all 4 ports could be used with a 360 controller. It is a bit pricey, but is most ideal setup in my case. But I did find with the OG X360 adapter that micro USB connection port found on the board was quite unsafe, and that did snap off, making port 1 and 2 not working with any controllers at all. So this back up and running now thanks to Brooks is pretty awesome, and I did find the same experience, just a bit more of a cable jungle. I have also created a video on the OG X360 installation guide and review if you want to check that out. Now jumping a couple of generations forward, let's go for the series controller. As I did mention earlier, you can go for a wired or a wireless connection, but either way, on the first time setting this up, you will have to sync it up. Holding down the 2 side lights, they do start flashing, then you just hold down the receiver button found on top of the controller. Again, I did find a very simple and easy setup. With the white button and black button again set up to L1 and R1, and the start button mapped to the menu button and the back button then mapped to the view button. Just the way I personally like this layout. So no customization on the button layout for me with these controllers. Now personally I did find this awesome using this controller for the OG Xbox. Oh, and just to quickly mention, if you are wondering how am I getting my original Xbox connected to my monitor via this HDMI port, I am using this level high HDMI adapter. I did do a review video on that as well, so of course links will be below. And to also mention, I do understand that the later consoles that Xbox brought, like the 360, One and Series, all do have backwards compatibility for the OG Xbox, but of course that is very limited, so using this newer controller is pretty sweet. But I did find using the Series controller after 40 minutes of gameplay that the connection would just drop out in the middle of the game, so I find that quite frustrating. Well, I would have to then take out the battery pack to turn it off and then slot it back in and turn it back on to resync. And I did find the same experience again with the Xbox One controller. Another minor problem I found with both the Series and Xbox One controller, in my case anyway, as my console is modded, every time I would then boot up a game from the dashboard, it would then cut out straight away, where I would then have to remove the battery pack again and then plug it back in and then sync it up again every game I would boot. Another neat trick that a modded Xbox can do, you can boot straight back to the menu when you're playing a game, so then you can select a different title, but this will then disconnect from connection where you have to resync it again. This will happen to the 360 pad, but this will automatically connect, making it more of a smoother transition. For the people that don't have a modded Xbox, this won't be much of a problem at all, as the Xbox console will just boot in straight into the game as you will be booting straight from the disc. Now another thing to look out for again with the Xbox One controller is that you will need to have one that has Bluetooth installed already. Not all models have this feature. The best way to find out if your controller is compatible with this Brook Wingman adapter is the design. In short, if the section has the Xbox guide button is the same material as the shoulder button triggers, then you are using an older 1697 pad. If you have the same plastic as the front of the controller, then it is all good, you have a 1708 model. Altogether, the 1537, the 1697 and the first generation Elite pad, the 1698, is not compatible, but anything over the 1600 model, you are all good. Now let's head over to the dark side for Xbox fans out there and grab a PlayStation 5 controller. This will be the same connection method with the PlayStation 4. To pair it up, you have to get a paperclip that is going to able to fit that small reset sync button found at the back of the controller. And then you have to hold down the PS button and the share button at the same time, and then you've got to hold that sync button on the adapter itself. It did find a quick connection, just like the rest of the controllers. And just like the rest of them, once you have synced up for the first time, you won't have to repeat this process, as it remembers what controller is synced up to this adapter. So next time, just simply turn it on and you're good to go. When it came to the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4 controller, within my first hour of gameplay I had a better connection issue than I did with the Xbox Series and Xbox One controller. There was no cutouts with the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4, so a better experience with these controllers. Though I do feel it's quite weird using a PlayStation controller on an Xbox console, but we do have that great quality built and that D-pad layout, which is awesome for me personally when it comes to side-scrolling games. Now I'll just quickly go over its input latency. I'm not really one to dwell into this factor when it comes to reviewing any controllers unless I do really notice something that stands out. The input speed I found was the same across each controller that I tested that you saw in this video. No noticeable latency at all when you compare it to the original Xbox controller. Another plus with this adapter compared to something like the OGX 360 board that I mentioned earlier in this video is that you can always swap this out with an original controller if you'd like to do that as well. My personal favourite wireless one I would say with this adapter is the Xbox 360, just for its automatic reconnection when getting in and out the games on a modded console. But with its 125 compatible controllers included, the Switch and fighting sticks, I'm sure you'll be able to find one that suits your needs. I will be covering more content on this adapter on other Xbox consoles and more adapters by Brooks themselves, and I hope to catch you guys there. And feel free to leave a comment on what would be your ideal wireless controller to use on your original Xbox. So as always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you want to support this channel and content, hit subscribe. You leave your comments below, and I catch you a lot on my next video.